Jaguars and the Titans played last night, Thursday Night Football. And there's really not a lot to take out of it. Mariota's got deficiencies. The Jaguars are playing the backup quarterback. Jaguars won the game, but my Titans pick not looking so good. But beyond that, Jalen Ramsey was playing in this game, and Jalen Ramsey is the topic of conversation because he asked to be traded earlier this week. And there was people that I had heard saying, oh, how do you trade, or not how do you trade Jalen Ramsey, but they were more astonished that it's like, you can't let the NFL become like the NBA. Guys just wanted to trade because they're on a bad team, and that's just going to set a bad precedent, and then losing teams, how they ever going to get players? What's the problem? Don't get me wrong. I do think there is something to asking for a trade too early. I think there are some guys in the NBA and the NFL, we'll see if this trend continues in the NFL, specifically the NBA, who do ask for trades at like 23, 24 years old, and they're like, oh, well, I'm not winning. Well, what have you really had a chance to win? What is your expectation? You think just because you scored 20 a game that you should be allowed to leave, or you should just be requesting a trade like you're a superstar. But that's not the point here. The point here is Jalen Ramsey is an employee of the Jacksonville Jaguars. And if you are an employee, you excuse me, you have every right to say, hey, if you guys want to keep me, you either pay me accordingly, you allow me some extra benefits, whether that is healthcare, dental, vacation days, whatever it is, or I get some special treatment. Special treatment may be, we've all had that one person we've worked with that the boss just seems to treat a little bit better than everybody else. And that could be a behind-the-scenes handshake, some stuff agreed to that's not available for everyone to know, but you've seen what special treatment looks like. Jalen Ramsey is in the position as any employee that he wanted more money. They just picked up his fifth-year option. That's not the contract he wanted. They're not winning, and it's kind of miserable to come to work every day. And he's not getting the special treatment, which is, for the NFL, I would consider special treatment being, hey, I think I'm this good. Let me play the way I want to play. I understand we have a defensive coordinator, but I'm this good. I should be allowed to just play one-on-one, and the other 10 guys do what they do. Darrelle Revis was this way in New York. And I'm not saying Jalen Ramsey is as good as Darrelle Revis, but I'm just saying top corner to top corner. Revis was paid. Revis got special treatment. And Revis got to play the way he wanted to play, which is I'll play one-on-one, and you other 10 guys just figure it out. And Jalen Ramsey is getting none of the three. I was in this position myself. I left my former employer because pay. They didn't want to pay me what I thought I should be paid. I got almost zero special treatment, and there was no additional benefits that not every other person was already getting. So I was like, well, you're not compensating me the way I feel I should be compensated. I know what I bring to the table. I know how valuable I am. And you, as an employer, have to make a choice. Is it worth keeping this employee? And if it's worth keeping this employee, you will make sure that you do what you have to do to keep said employee. Now, be realistic. They're not going to throw $1 billion at Jalen Ramsey. But is it too crazy to say that if Jalen Ramsey went to at the beginning of the season and said, hey, we just got Nick Foles, we're going to try to make this work, but just in case, we'll make sure you are best player on this team, here is a 5-6 year deal, max him out wherever the top corner slot is. Hey, our defense, we're changing things up, but these 10 guys are going to figure it out. You get to play one-on-one, and we'll save you a nicer parking spot. We'll do whatever extra thing they can give him. And this isn't happening right now. And on top of that, as an employee, if you show up and it's miserable at your work, and for Jalen Ramsey it's miserable because they're not winning, why would you want to stay there? Oh, it'll get better in the future. What does Jalen Ramsey have to look forward to? Right now, he's got a backup quarterback who's going to be hit and miss. And his savior is, in 10 weeks, Nick Foles will come back, hopefully as good as what version of Nick Foles? Nick Foles has about 20 games in his career in which he's been good, and then a whole lot of bad. Remember, Nick Foles has the one really good season, and then he's got the 27-2 season, and then he's got a bunch of and then he's got the 3-4 games at the end of 2 years ago, and a couple good games at the end of last year, and now we're just all expecting Nick Foles to come back and be what? Jalen Ramsey hasn't been given anything a quality employee should be given if their employer wants to keep them. I see no issue as to why he would want to get out. And if you're Jacksonville, maybe you can salvage it. If you show up tomorrow and you're like, hey, we're going to pay you this much, hey, we're going to do this. But most likely not. They've already came out and said, hey, if you want him, we want a first-round draft pick, possibly 2, and a young player. Who knows? If the Chiefs get Jalen Ramsey, though, watch out. Switching from one of the best players in their position to one of the best players of all time. The NBA, there was a poll that was released, and it was the best players of the decade. LeBron James is the number 1 player of the decade. He was also, I believe, the number 3 shooter, which I'm still trying to figure out how. This is not a LeBron James bashing segment. Let me be very clear. I want to repeat this. This is not a LeBron James bashing segment. Understood? All right. LeBron James shouldn't be the number 1 player of the 2010s. I'm sorry, he shouldn't be. If I'm thinking about the 2010s, if you had given me just the first 3 years of the 2010s, absolutely I would give you LeBron. Give me the first 4 years. Give me the Miami Heat run, 4 final strips, 2 finals MVPs, 2 regular season MVPs. LeBron James, player of the 2010s. The problem with that is we keep playing games and keep having seasons. And for some reason, we keep not putting Steph Curry as high as he should be. To be the best player of the decade, to me, you not only have to be one of the best players, because once you're getting into this era, I mean, LeBron, Steph, and Durant were the top 3. And all 3 of them are obviously 3 of the 10 greatest players, arguably, of all time. So you're splitting hairs here when you're really saying, oh, he should be number 1 or he should be number 2. But what do we think about when we think about the 2010s? It's a threes league. Everyone shoots. There's more possessions. Oh, who embodies that more than any other player? I don't know. How about ever? Oh, that's right. It's Steph. When we think about the 2010s, where's the dynasty? We don't think of the early LeBron Miami Heat team winning back-to-back. Oh, that's right. We think of the Golden State Warriors and 3 titles for Steph. And how he got a title before Durant. And how Steph has unanimous MVP. How he has multiple MVPs in this decade. How Steph has 4. It's something like 4 of the 6. I always get slightly confused with him and Clay have like 8 of the top 10 shooting seasons ever. I believe Steph has 4 of the top 6. Steph has the most threes ever in a regular season. Steph's team won 72 games. That is all stuff that happened this decade. LeBron James, as crazy as it is, I don't believe is the best player of the 2010s, and I don't believe he is the player of the 2000s. I think the 2000s belongs to Kobe or Duncan, depending on how you want to go there, and the 2010s belongs to Steph. Now, if we're doing an all-time ranking, LeBron is ahead of Steph Curry because LeBron is one of the top 5 players, arguably top 3 players of the 2010s and the 2000s. Which is such prolonged greatness, you have to put him in that conversation. But if I'm just doing who's the best player of the 2010s, who's the most impactful player of the 2010s, who's the player we're going to look back and remember, who's the team we're going to look back and remember, and who's the best player on that team, Steph Curry's the best player of the 2010s, and he deserves to be number one on that list.